What is carbon capture technology and why could it potentially be a game changer when it comes to tackling climate change?
Thank you for having me, Kenny. So the technology that I'm working on is called Mineral Carbonation International, and we take CO2 from any industrial source and we combine it into minerals to create building materials. So basically, we take low-grade minerals from any industrial source and we react them with CO2 at our facility in Newcastle. So it's actually the Earth's natural process of storing CO2 already, which we've sped up from a matter of millions of years into a matter of hours. And when scaled up, this technology has the potential to lock away millions or billions of tons of CO2 into profitable materials, so a decarbonisation pathway for the Earth. So put simply, what we do is we educate businesses that carbon dioxide is a resource and not just a harmful waste.
Yeah, we've been showing, while you've been talking, we've been showing pictures of that test plant in Newcastle. And that basically was my next question. I mean, how economically viable is this? You're saying that it is profitable to make these green building products out of this. Is it expensive to set up the plant? How much electricity does it use? I mean, is it viable for these industries to really put it in from a market perspective?
Absolutely, it is economically viable to do so, and we've taken that into consideration in our full development of our techno-economic feasibility of what we do. So we can partner with any industrial source of CO2 and into any industrial integration scenario, and we'll be producing materials that are worth more than the cost of of energy.
Wow. Okay. So basically, you're saying that it can be used for a wide range of industries. My next question is, can it potentially be put onto as an add-on to, say, a coal-powered plant? And basically, for that energy generation, you can keep the base power, the base load. Could this potentially be used for coal plants as well?
So we can actually integrate into any industrial scenario or source of CO2. So heavy industries, traditional power generators, steel, the steel industry, the cement industry, and manufacturing. So yeah, we can partner into any scenario, but in the immediate focus for us is looking at the carbon economics and the business models for the best focus for our next development, which right now looks like the steel and cement industry is producing a lot of highly concentrated CO2 that we can use, but we're definitely not locked into any particular scenario.
This seems like a bit of a win-win to me, looking from the outside in. I mean, this is just an add-on to existing industries where they may be traditionally high polluters of CO2, and then they can solve their emissions and meanwhile make these new products in the process, and meanwhile keeping most of their traditional business model intact. Is that what you're seeing with this?
Yeah, so we can create profitable materials out of emissions. It's a really compelling business case for a lot of traditional industries. So yeah, it's a circular economy play. It's developing new industries in parts of Australian sectors that we've got traditional competencies in, for instance, advanced manufacturing, bulk handling, and resource processing. If we can take those traditional jobs and create sustainable building materials out of them, process our waste gases like CO2 and other greenhouse gases into building materials, then it's a really compelling argument. Also, it's the creation of new global industries that don't exist yet, where we can help our trading partners to also decarbonise.
Sophia, where are we in the timeline right now? I mean, how are you getting this in front of governments, not just in Australia, but overseas? How far are we away from mass adoption from this type of technology?
Well, our technology has enjoyed support from 7 years of support from state and federal governments, from both political parties. We've really been had a lot of support from the government in the development of our technology thus far. But it does take 20 years for technologies to developed from laboratory to market, and we're 13 years down that path. But there are other technologies that utilize CO2, for instance, turning carbon into synthetic fuels, into chemicals, and into other materials. And those technologies also need a little bit of help in order to create a vibrant carbon utilization ecosystem. So to that end, I am a founding director of a group called CO2 Value Australia, which aims to educate and advocate for the potential of the carbon utilization sector in Australia, in particularly creating a first mover advantage for Australian technologies and companies to decarbonise. So there is actually a really great opportunity, because the industry has been estimated to be worth more than $1 trillion by 2030. And if Australia can be a key part of that, if we can maintain our competitive advantage and use our natural competencies in resource processing and bulk handling and exporting green materials, it's going to be just such a great opportunity for us.
That is really interesting stuff. We've got to leave it there. But Sophia, Hamblin, Wang, thank you so much for that. And no doubt I'll be speaking to you again soon. That's Sophia, Hamblin, Wang from Mineral Carbonation International.